You take the Long Island Railroad into the city every morning because that's what you do. You've been doing it for decades. You watch the sun come up over Queens. You get off at Penn Station. You take the subway downtown, and you walk into 6 World Trade Center, the U.S. Custom House. It's an 8-story fortress of bureaucracy sitting in the shadow of the Twin Towers. You are the director of the National Commodity Specialist Division. To anyone outside this building, that title means absolutely nothing. To the global economy, it means everything. Your division decides what things are, technically, and how much it costs to bring them into the United States. Metals, machinery, textiles. You deal in the microscopic details of international trade. Your life is measured in tariff codes, filing cabinets, and official signatures. It is quiet, relentless, unglamorous work. Your office is on the 4th floor. It's beige. The lighting is that specific fluorescent white that makes your eyes dry by 2 p.m. You have nearly 40 years on the job. You are a lifer. You know the exact sound the HVAC makes when it kicks on. You know how many steps it takes to get from your desk to the elevator. You know the bones of this building. You know this because you were sitting in this exact building in 1993 when a Ryder truck packed with explosives detonated in the basement parking garage. You felt the floor heave. You smelled the cordite. You walked down the smoke-filled stairs that day, and you made a silent promise to yourself that you would never be caught off guard again. For 8 years, you've been the guy who takes the fire drills too seriously. When the alarm sounds, your staff rolls their eyes. They want to finish their coffee. They want to finish their phone calls. But you make them stand up. You make them walk the stairwells. You drill the escape routes into their muscle memory until they can find the exits with their eyes closed. You don't wait for announcements. You don't trust the PA system. You trust the stairs. It's Tuesday morning, September 11th. The sky outside your window is a blinding, impossible blue. You drink your coffee. You sit at your desk. You pull a document from the stack. A ruling letter. A final, legally binding decision on a trade classification. You pick up your pen. You sign your name. Bob Swierupski. The ink is black. It dries into the heavy paper. You set it aside on your desk. Just another piece of paper in a building filled with millions of them. At 8:46 a.m., the air is violently sucked out of the room. There is no cinematic fireball. There is no immediate screaming. There is just a physical concussion that hits you in the chest. A loud, unnatural bang that reverberates through the steel floorboards for a full second too long. Dust shakes loose from the drop ceiling and snows down onto your desk. You freeze. The phones don't ring. The fire alarm doesn't sound. The building is dead quiet, but the silence feels incredibly heavy. You stand up and walk to your 4th floor window. You look out toward the plaza. Debris is falling past the glass. Not office supplies. Chunks of metal. Burning paper. You don't wait for the PA system to tell you what to do. You don't wait for permission. You turn to your staff, the ones you've annoyed with drills for 8 years, and you tell them, "We're leaving, now." You bypass the elevators. You hit the stairwell. The concrete is cold. The descent is orderly. It's quiet. Nobody knows what has happened, but everybody knows it's bad. You reach the ground floor. You push through the doors and step out into the plaza. You look up. The North Tower, the 110-story monolith that defines your sky every single day, has a massive, jagged hole punched through its side. Thick, oily black smoke is billowing into that perfect blue sky. You can see the distinct, terrifying outline of a commercial airplane branded into the steel columns. Your brain refuses to process it. It's a math equation that doesn't solve. You try to call Customs headquarters in Washington. You pull out your cell phone. No signal. The circuits are jammed. You look around the plaza. Papers are fluttering down from the sky like dirty snow. People are standing still, their necks craned upward, paralyzed by the sheer scale of the nightmare happening 1,000 feet above their heads. You know you can't stay here. You gather whoever you can find from your division, and you start walking. The subways are shut down. The grid is locked. Manhattan has instantly transformed from the center of the world into a sprawling, disconnected island. You walk north. You join a river of thousands of other people in business suits, covered in a fine layer of gray dust, marching silently up the avenues. You just want to go home. You walk for hours. Your legs ache. The smell of burning jet fuel and pulverized drywall coats the back of your throat. You finally make it to Penn Station. It's chaos, but you manage to squeeze onto a Long Island Railroad train. You sit in the seat, staring straight ahead as the train pulls away from the city. You get home around 4 p.m. Your house is quiet. You walk into your living room and you turn on the television. You sit in your chair and you watch the world end on a 27-inch screen. You watch the South Tower fall, and then you watch the North Tower fall. You watch millions of tons of steel and concrete collapse straight down, crushing everything beneath it, including 6 World Trade Center. You watch your office get flattened. You watch the filing cabinets, the desks, the computers, the break room, and 40 years of your professional life get vaporized in a cloud of ash. All the national commodity files, all the records, gone. You sit in your quiet living room, completely untouched, realizing that the physical anchor of your entire adult life no longer exists. 2 days pass. The shock hasn't worn off. It has just settled into your bones. The phone in your house rings. You pick it up. It's not your boss. It's not your family. It's a reporter from the New York Times. They ask if you are Bob Swierupski. You say yes. They ask if you are safe. You say yes. You ask them why on earth a newspaper is calling your house right now. The reporter tells you a story. They tell you that a woman in Brooklyn stepped out into her backyard that morning, miles away from Ground Zero, across the East River. She looked down at her grass and saw a piece of paper. It was covered in soot, the edges burned brown by intense heat. When the North Tower collapsed, it pushed a wall of air through the city with the force of a hurricane. That air current blew through the shattered windows of 6 World Trade Center. It swept across the 4th floor. It picked up a single piece of paper from your desk, carried it up into the atmosphere, rode the wind over the water, and dropped it gently into a residential backyard. The woman picked it up. She wiped away the ash. It was a U.S. Customs ruling letter, and at the bottom, in black ink, was a signature. Your signature. She didn't throw it away. In a city of 14 million people, amidst the chaos of thousands of missing persons, she read your name. She called the newspaper because she simply had to know if the man holding the pen that morning was still alive. You sold your trust to a building that fell down, but you earned it back from the wind. A few weeks later, you put a suit back on. You don't take the train to Lower Manhattan. You go to a temporary relocation site. You walk into a room with fold-out tables and borrowed computers. You look around. The files are gone. The 4th floor is gone. But your staff, the ones you forced into the stairwells year after year, they are all there, every single one of them, ready to work. The steel was gone, and the records were ash. But looking at the faces in that room, you realize your legacy wasn't buried in the rubble. It was sitting right in front of you. The story you just watched is entirely true. Bob Swierupski survived the collapse of the World Trade Center, and his signed ruling letter was actually carried by the wind into a Brooklyn backyard. When history gets buried, it's the small, impossible details like this that bring it back to life. If this piece of history stuck with you, drop a like, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next documentary, and I'll see ya in the next one.